Florida State is scheduled to play in their bowl game at the end of December. It's the Orange Bowl against Georgia. Should that game even happen? Should the Noles even play in that game? Should they consider other options? Should they look to get out of it? Should they go out and play the very hardest and try and beat Georgia and get to 14-0? Should they go out and give guys one more chance to prove it on the field? Should they take advantage of the bowl practices? Should the Bulldogs go out and give it all that they've got in this bowl game, this glorified exhibition? I'm going to talk about all of that today because there are a lot of questions on whether or not to play this game. In my frustration on the way back home from Charlotte, North Carolina, where I watched an undefeated FSU team get to 13-0 and then get screwed the very next morning on my drive home, I tweeted that we should decline the invite. I think that tweet got about 3,000 likes. I think a lot of people agreed with that. There were some that disagreed for sure. But I think the sentiment on Sunday was screw them. Screw that fake game. Screw the Orange Bowl. Screw the idea of making ESPN more money. And it's now Wednesday night, Thursday if you're watching this, I'm sure. I think there are a lot of people that still hold that sentiment. I don't know that I think that they should have declined the invite, because if you do that, then they just backfill you and put Louisville in, and everyone bumps up a bowl. And so I'm glad they accepted. Just we'll get to that and why I'm glad they accepted here in just a moment. But there's a lot of questions about it. Listen, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on this, but I absolutely want to know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know. No, don't comment just yet, though, because I want you to hear me out. But I want to know what you think. Should we play this game? Should we move on? I understand the whole let the players decide. I understand all of that. But should we play this game or not? Now, the very first thing I want to say is I do not believe that Florida State is scared of playing this game. I think that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of. Florida State just went and played 2 games back-to-back with backup quarterbacks. They understand that Jordan Travis is out. They understand that several of Florida State's starters and several of UGA's starters would sit out this game, including probably Brock Bowers and some other big-time superstars that have been banged up for the Dogs. I don't think Florida State's scared of playing this game. I do think that based on some of the things that I will talk about today in this video, Florida State is frustrated about being in this game. And if Florida State or Georgia were to not want to play or opt out of this thing, I don't think it's because either one is scared of the other. Now, Georgia's a big favorite. Georgia's a 14-point favorite. And I would be pretty surprised at this point if Florida State trotted Tate Rodemaker out there without probably Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Jared Verse, some of your offensive linemen, some of the guys that have declared for the portal, Kalen DeLoach, others that are superstars. I'd be surprised if Florida State could go out and find a way to win this game. I don't think that losing this game is a mark on Florida State's season at all. Honestly, don't think that winning it is some kind of vindication, that you should have been in the playoff if you beat a Georgia team that's going to have a ton of starters out. This game is meaningless, and you can say that it's not, and you can say that you think that the Noles and the Dogs should go out and play it, and I am completely okay with you having that opinion. But most of Florida State's games this year were meaningless, if you'll just remember back to 4 days ago. The ACC championship did not matter. Florida State loses that game, they're not going to the playoff with a win anyway. They go to the Cotton Bowl instead of the Orange Bowl. Guess what else didn't matter? The game against Florida. You could have lost that game, and guess where you'd be playing on December 30th? The Orange Bowl. What about the game against North Alabama? Didn't matter one bit. You could have lost that game, you'd still be playing in the Orange Bowl had you beat Louisville. What about the game against Clemson? First time you've beaten them this side of a decade. Didn't matter. You could have lost that game. You beat Louisville, you're still in the Orange Bowl. What about the opener against LSU? Didn't matter a bit. Could have lost that game, and you'd still been in the Orange Bowl. The games didn't matter in the regular season, and let me tell you, this one in Hard Rock Stadium on December 30th doesn't matter even more. What about the financial impact? Listen, Florida State playing in this game would make about $5.2 million for the Noles. Now, not just the Noles, because of revenue sharing and because the lowest bottom dwellers in the conference get just as much as we do at the top. Every other team in the conference would make $5.2 million from the Seminoles playing in this game as well. So, Syracuse, Boston College, North Carolina State, Duke, Wake Forest, the other trash in this conference, they all get that same $5.2 million that the Noles do as well. Now, not just the $5.2 million do you have to take into account. You also have to think about the fact that the Seminoles would lose money. There are expenses, and there are costs, and there are hotel stays, and there are bus trips and airfare and private escorts and everything else to get to the stadium. This is not a free trip by any means. It will cost FSU money to go complete the trip. And so we not only would get the $5.2 million, but we would certainly lose some money from playing in it. So it's not a full $5 million you get for playing in it. I will tell you this, if Florida State said, we're not going to play this, and the booster said, we're not going to play this game, but we're losing about $5 million, and we're protesting the NCAA for what they've done to us, we need your help raising $5 million. I guarantee you right now, Florida State would raise that money within 24 hours. Not even a question. If the boosters came out, and I'm not saying that they're going to do this, and said, we're protesting this game, we're protesting ESPN, we're protesting the NCAA, and we're not playing it. By not playing in it, we need $5 million to make up for the lost revenue. You'd raise it in 24 hours. Guaranteed. You'd probably have one person come out and donate it themselves. So then, at that point, you'd be the only team in the ACC to get the $5 million from the Orange Bowl. No one else would get that money. You don't have to revenue share your booster donations. Well, what about the players? The players should get to decide this. All right, we'll get right back to it, but I wanted to take a quick moment and say a huge thank you and show some support from my friends over at Knapp Injury Law. Alex Knapp owns Knapp Accident and Injury, which is a law firm that specializes in car accidents, Uber and Lyft accidents, or any kind of personal injury. They will absolutely get you taken care of. Alex is a diehard Seminole, graduated from Florida State, was with us all year from Orlando against LSU all the way until Charlotte when we got to 13-0 against Louisville. If you are hurt or injured or know somebody who is hurt or injured, make sure to give them Alex's phone number. It's 813-568-3724. All of his clients get his personal cell phone number. He'll give that to you, and you're not having to deal with a case manager or a paralegal. You can have access to him at all times. He does a phenomenal job. Again, if you're hurt, injured, anything like that, you may not need him today, but if you do in the future, you may want to take his number down, 813-568-3724. It's also Knapp, K-N-A-P-P, Injury Law. Appreciate their support all season. Excited for what we can continue to do with them. They gave away some tickets to the Miami game last year. We'll see if they maybe do something fun for this upcoming year as well. But I appreciate you guys. Make sure if you're hurt or injured, you're going to Knapp Injury Law. The players should get to say whether or not this bowl game happens. Absolutely. I absolutely 100% agree with that. This should not be a decision that's made by Michael Alford. This should not be a decision that's made by Mike Norvell. This should not be a decision that's made by TJ Pittenger or any other talking head that's out there. This should be a decision that the players have make. And if the players start to opt out, you listen to them and you say, we're not playing it. Now, of course, people like Jared Verse, if they were to opt out, you wouldn't be shocked. Keon Coleman, if he was to opt out, you wouldn't be shocked. Johnny Wilson, others, you wouldn't be shocked at all. But what if you get past those NFL guys? What if you get into the second string and the third string and they say, you know what? I don't want to play this game for ESPN. I don't want to go play this game for the NCAA and ESPN and make them money after what they've done to us. Screw them. What's in it for me? You see, I was just bent over on national TV on Sunday at noon and screwed, and I'm supposed to go out there and lay it on the line to make ESPN more money? In the day and age of NIL, I don't think that that's something that all the players want to do. Now, I believe Mike Norvell's culture is to get up off the mat when you've been beaten down, fairly or unfairly, and I get that completely. And if Mike Norvell talks with his team and him decide we want to play this game and we want to give it our max effort and we want to go out the right way, then I'm good with it. Have no problem with it. But if we're okay with Jared Verse opting out, I'm okay with any player on the team opting out that wants to. If we're okay with Johnny Wilson opting out, I'm okay with any third stringer or second stringer or walk on saying, you know what, I'm not going to play either. And so I completely agree. This is a player's decision. How many players want to opt out? How many players are going to be in the transfer portal? How many players can you even field on a roster to make this game happen and happen safely? You can't go down there with 35 or 40 guys and expect to play a game safely. That's a big question. What will the players ultimately decide? Health and safety is a massive part of this decision. If Florida State can't get down there with 65 plus guys, even that's a little limited. You've got an 85-man scholarship roster. If you can't get down there with about 65 or more, I don't know that you can play the game. If you're getting into the 50s, that sounds dangerous. To take 30 guys off of a roster, you're really limiting your two deep everywhere if that's the case. You're going to have some position groups that are missing 40 to 50 to 60% of your depth. It's not good if that's the offensive line. That's not good if that's your defensive line. From a safety perspective, you've got to take that into consideration. What about the ESPN factor? You know what? Screw ESPN. I'm so tired of them, their narrative, this bullcrap that they have coming out now where they're all boo-hooing and crying and sad for Jordan Travis and sad for the team. And, I just can't. Reese Davis, shut the hell up. Nobody wants to hear your crap. Nobody wants to hear you say you're sorry for the team. You begged and pleaded for Boo Corrigan and his clowns in that room in Texas to drop us, and they did it. We don't need your apologies. We don't care what you have to say. I don't want to see your puppy dog tears. I don't want to see your stupid dog, Kirk Herbstreit. Shut up. We don't care. No FSU fan, no FSU player is looking at Twitter or looking at Instagram and sees your coward face apologizing to them and feels better. We don't care. And so if you want to make a statement, if you want to hit them where it hurts, you pull out of this game. And you cost them millions and millions and millions of advertising dollars. Massive amounts of money. Georgia and Florida State are two of the top 10, 15 brands in this country. It will be detrimental to them. They will lose so much money if you pull out of this. 4 p.m. on a Saturday, that's when people are watching college football, guys. This would be terrible for ESPN. Why else should you do it? They're nothing but a bunch of cowardly hypocrites there. Melina Myers, who photographs Florida State a lot of times for the AP, sometimes for some other outlets, recently tweeted this. They paraded him around on college game day. They pretended to care and they asked about his rehab. Then just one day later, they used his injury as the excuse to disqualify his entire undefeated Power 5 team from national championship contention. They flat out used Jordan Travis. 100% accurate. They had him on game day the morning of the ACC championship. And then 24 hours later said, yeah, that guy that we just interviewed, that guy that we just spoke so highly of, that guy that we just paraded around and made a mockery of, that's the reason we're keeping them out. We blame him. They forced Jordan Travis to literally tweet that he wishes he would have broken his leg earlier. Dude, ESPN can go die in a fire. I don't know what your beliefs are. I don't know what you spend your money on. Man, cancel their crap. Get rid of ESPN Plus. Go move to YouTube. Get off Hulu TV. Get out of that crap. They are worthless and they are scumbags. And I've said this probably 4 times this week, but if Florida State doesn't change some of the way that they give access to ESPN going forward, if the sports information department doesn't limit some of the access that they give to ESPN when it comes to our players and our university, I'm not talking about taking games off the network. You can't do that. I'm talking about the access they get to practice, the access they get to the players, the access they get to this program after what they've done. There's some serious questions that need to be answered in Tallahassee if that doesn't happen. And I will continue to beat that drum. Big picture. What's this do for all the players? What's this do for the NCAA? These scrimmages are meaningless. The players get nothing. I don't care about their school. You think these players care about swag bags now that they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars playing football? I promise you they don't. 10 years ago, they probably did. Jameis probably loved that stuff. These kids don't care about swag bags at the Orange Bowl. They're making hundreds of thousands of dollars playing football. The low-level guys, tens of thousands of dollars for playing football. They do not care. I promise you that. What's this do for the rest of the players? This starts to shed a light. What if Florida State is the one that finally says, you know what? NCAA, you're going to screw us like this, we're going to screw you back. ESPN, you're going to screw us like this, we're going to screw you back. And what if Florida State is the first team, the first program that starts a chain reaction around college football, where if teams feel like they're slighted, teams feel like they don't want to, teams feel like it's not worth it, they stop going to bowls. What happens if teams don't do it? What if enough players do? Like I said, if you're playing in a bowl that's not the playoff, you're playing in a bowl that's meaningless, you're playing in a bowl that does nothing for you, what's the point of playing? Opt out. We always say, we got no problem with the kids opting out. We got no problem with this guy or this player or this NFL prospect opting out. I got no problem with any of them opting out. I don't care if the starting quarterback opts out or the third string long snapper. That's his prerogative. He can do whatever he wants. And so what if this was the start of a chain reaction that brought the bowl crap, the exhibition bull crap, to its knees? Playoff expansion, I've been against it forever, is really a good thing. It could literally get rid of the bowl season and force college football to have an actual playoff where actual games matter, where it's not just 13 jerks, keep things PG today, sitting in a room deciding people's fate. You have an actual playoff with actual requirements and actual metrics to get you in, like Division II does, like Division III does, like high school football does, like the NFL does, like all major sports leagues do, like softball does, like soccer does, like volleyball does, like college baseball does. An actual tournament, not a bunch of bigwigs lining their pockets because they get to decide who goes to this exhibition game or that exhibition game. That is how football should work. And what if Florida State's sitting out of this bowl, showing that, look, if we can sit out of the Orange Bowl, you can sit out of any other bowl going forward? Is the chain reaction to do that? Maybe that's really big picture. Maybe that's way grander than you thought this video might get into, but I guarantee you that's where it's headed. If Florida State and its players will do what I think they should do, you can have your opinion. If you disagree, I'm good with it. But if Florida State and their players do what they should do, and they should tell ESPN, you're not making another dime off us this season, that could be the beginning of the end for ESPN. That could be the beginning of the end for the bowls. It could be the beginning of the end for the playoff. It needs total restructuring, and this might be the thing that sets it off. All right, if you stuck around this long into the video, hit the subscribe button. What am I hearing on this? Well, obviously a press conference got canceled between Coach Norvell and Coach Smart. It was virtual, so I saw some people saying they're out on the road recruiting. I don't think that matters. Every coach in America is out on the road recruiting right now. And I'm told that was not unintentional. I'm told that was not an accident. That wasn't a scheduling conflict. I believe there are some real deal discussions going on about this. I believe that Florida State staff is having to talk to their players. And I'll tell you, I think the staff wants to play this game. I think that they see some benefit to it. I think that's Mike Norvell's mindset. I think that Mike Norvell is a big believer in get up off the mat when you've been hit down and keep fighting. And that's the mindset and the culture that he wants to establish. And if that's why Florida State ends up playing, I'm totally good with it. I do trust Norvell fully to run this program. But at the same time, if the players want out, I think they want out. People will ask about bowl practices. People will ask, what about the time that you could use, the camaraderie, the gelling that you could do with the play? I think that's one of the most overrated things you hear in bowl season. With the portal and the players that are leaving your roster, as well as the superstars that will likely sit out or likely miss some of those practices or not practice much at all, even if they do play, most of that practice time, most of the time that you spend getting to practice. You're not even going to use all 15 practices that you're allotted because nobody does. Maybe the teams in the championship. Most of that time is going to be spent doing install work, installing new offenses, installing new sets, trying to get Brock and Tate and whoever the quarterback is up to speed. If you were playing in the playoff, you'd have your entire roster and you'd be doing a lot of stuff that would advance the cause. You're not developing guys anymore in these 15 practices or less that you probably use. You're just doing a lot of install work. You're doing a lot of trying to get guys that haven't played all year, because who's going to be shocked if Keon and Johnny and Jared and Tatum and Kalen and Jarian and different guys sit out? I think the idea of bowl practices being a benefit is completely dead. I think that the benefit is very negligible, if anything. Some young guys get some reps, absolutely. They're getting reps against walk-ons because your superstars are sitting out. What about the idea of, well, you're getting young guys a chance to play? Same thing. Nobody's improving their draft stock. That's another thing you hear. Oh, I can go in the bowl game and improve their draft stock. Who on offense is improving their draft stock without Jordan Travis out there? And I got all the respect in the world for Tate and Brock. I think they've done a phenomenal job in both games, stepping in, doing just enough for the Noles to win. But ain't nobody out there on offense improving their draft stock. Nobody on defense needs to improve their draft stock. Did you watch the Louisville game? Did you watch the Florida game? Nobody's going to be thinking, what did they do against Georgia? They can only hurt their draft stock in that game by potentially getting hurt, by potentially getting blown up because the teams are just mismatched. There's no improving the draft stock in that one. And I'm tired of hearing, you just need to go to the game and support the players. You just need to get down. And I'll tell you, I'll probably end up in South Florida if they play the game. I probably will be there. But this idea of you need to go down there and support the team when a third of the team is not even going to be there playing is not necessarily my favorite thing to keep hearing over and over and over again. Now, again, I'm going to be there, and I'm not discouraging you from going. If we go to the game, I'm sure I'll do a tailgate. Might make it free. You guys can just drink on me all day. Probably not. Let's back that up some. But the idea of you need to go down there and support, you need to go down there and be there for the players. Some of the players who are opting out, the players who don't want to be there, the players who the coaches had to convince to even play in the game. Nobody wants to play in this game. Nobody wants to watch this game. I tell you, Georgia feels the same way. They don't play in this game. They don't play a Florida State team that's missing their quarterback. They don't play a Florida State team that all of the superstars are going to opt out of. You think Georgia fans are excited to see their backups beat our backups? They don't care. You think Georgia feels better if they go out and beat Florida State that they're a 2-touchdown favorite against? That was proof that we should have been in the playoff. No. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to play in it. It's a glorified exhibition that'll make ESPN a lot of money. And I think it's time that we stop using the kids to do that. The kids get nothing from it. The team gets nothing from it. The program gets nothing from it. You go win this game? Oh, man up and just win the game. First of all, that's probably a long shot. Second of all, you beat a depleted Georgia team? That's your crescendo? That's your high point of your season? No. Will we talk smack on Twitter? Absolutely. But who cares? It's not a real game. It's not a real contest. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, I have pretty strong feelings on this one. I think Florida State shouldn't play in this game. I'm going to get a phone call or two about this. So I hope you guys enjoyed my honest opinion and my honest thoughts here. But yeah, I don't think they should. I think it's worthless. I think you would instill a little bit more respect from their fan base and your donor base if you just said, middle fingers up to the NCAA and ESPN, we ain't playing. Screw you. That is what this fan base wants. Nobody's scared. Nobody cares. I'll tell you right now, we play this game, I ain't predicting FSU winning it. Unless all our guys play and a lot of Georgia's opt out, I ain't predicting that FSU's going to win it. I'm not scared of that. I don't care. It's an exhibition. Who cares? Nothing to play for. Pride, whatever. But it's like playing for pride in the last week of the NFL season when you're, this is not your granddad's college football. These kids are getting paid a lot of money to play the sport. Pride. Pride is going out and winning 13 games in a row and qualifying for the NCAA's, the college football playoff, and then not being able to make it. That'll hurt your pride. But I don't care about this game at all. Not scared of it. Don't care. Georgia would probably win. That doesn't bother me. Just think it's stupid. I think it's stupid to play it. All right. I've had 3 or 4 rants about this week. I don't know if we're done or not yet. We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep venting to you guys. I appreciate you for sticking with us through it. Appreciate you guys for all the love and support. Listen, go sign up for the Battle's End if you haven't done that yet. Go get that taken care of for me. TheBattlesEnd.com. Shoot me an email if you need more info on it. TJ@doublefriesnoslaw.com. I appreciate you guys a ton. I'm not done whining about this, I'm sure, but thanks for at least tuning in one more time so that I could whine about it one more time. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Go Noles.